Thank you. Nice to be seen.
Where would you recommend these three on this floor to invest their money? Equities, bonds, properties, and where do you have your money?
Well, as I said, I have it in our own vehicles. Properties, I own a full scale of real estate assets, mostly houses all over the place because my wife doesn't know where she wants to be. So, but if you took I mean, real estate to me, I mean, that's still, you can create value in real estate over time, but it is a very professional market, and there's so much money, particularly pension money, in the real estate business. It's pretty hard to get value. If you had to look at bonds versus stocks, for me, I like stocks or equities because, let's take for example, Bank of Montreal. And again, I don't mean a shill for the banks, but when I am not totally certain in markets, I go for dividends. What am I going to get on my money? So for me, I can get a 4.5% dividend yield, just to take Bank of Montreal as an example, which is roughly equivalent in Canada to a little over 6% interest equivalent. And sooner or later, banks are going to do things right, and they're going to continue to grow. And they are going to increase their dividends because the government has put pressure on them. Don't increase the dividends so soon after all this crisis. So to my, and whereas if you buy a government bond, what are you getting? 3.5%. Or you leave money in the bank, they give you nothing. So to my mind, it makes more sense to own the bank versus have money in the bank. So that leads my thinking to skew to equities. And I've always been very skewed to ownership versus lending money. And that holds for my own personal investments. I don't think I own any bonds at all.
Last question.
I'm sorry?
BIDE, the symbol, the Chinese logo.
Right.
Would you buy stocks?
Well, I don't think it's good to get on to specific recommendations. I think really if I was going to give a specific recommendation, just give us all your money and we'll let you know how it works out. Thank you. Please speak up. I'm hard.
My question answered the previous question. My question would be: you mentioned the mechanisms for Spain, Greece, Romania now is going through austerity measures.
Romania is going through it.
Through austerity.
Right. Yeah.
Spain is doing the same thing. We see the European should real badly. What do you think will happen with the European currency, the euro, in the future? Do you foresee happening with this currency? And you did mention that Macedonian should put a hold on enterprise with the European Union. How do you think we should stay like that? Do you think this is going to change or is it going to become?
If I had to give you my best guess, and let me use the word guess on the euro, say, versus the US dollar, I think eventually they're going to get to par. I shouldn't share this, but I was in England last week, and frankly, you know, people stop you in the street and want money, you know, in Toronto, and I usually scotch tape a little loonie or a doubloony to a little Bible and give it to them. So I do the same when I go to England. I have pounds, and this lady panhandled, she said she needed some money, and I said, well, here's a pound, here's a couple of pounds, and a little Bible, you know, trying to give them something to, you know, a new MS-DOS, and it was €2. And she wouldn't take it. She said, I thought you said I had pounds. I said, well, I got one on a pound here. Yeah, but she wouldn't take the euro. I thought it was really bizarre. But, you know, now, pardon? Did she take the Bible? Yeah, she did take the Bible. She probably resold that too. But she wouldn't take the euro. But I think the euro, if I had to look over time, will probably, so your Mercedes is going to cost you a lot less here. So I think they'll sort of work their way to par. Not that the US dollar is any great shakes. It's sort of like a reverse beauty contest. Who's the least bad? I think that's is that politically incorrect? Okay, thank you. Liz keeps me posting these because at least America has taxing power, whereas these European have no more taxing power, so they've got to go to austerity. But I think as we go on in time, Europe will solve its problems, and my sense is the euro will probably still be under a little bit of pressure. And should Macedonia hold its thing? It's like trying to join an exclusive club. You know, you push hard, you know, to get in the club and get the application done, but you let them take their time. You know, because you don't want to pay the initiation fee right away, sort of thing. It's the same kind of thing. I think it would be good for Macedonia to be in the EU. You know, I'm really joking when I say don't worry about it too. I think it would be overall positive. That's my own, again, outsider's opinion.
Great.
I can.
Anthony Valios from Michigan.
I'm sorry?
Anthony Valios from Michigan.
Right.
First of all, fabulous presentation.
Well, I always laugh at my own jokes. It keeps me entertained. I don't know the rest of it. Anthony, but.
And my question is, what would you say is the most important experience that molded you as an individual? And then in turn, how could a country such as Macedonia possibly apply that? And then just one final question is, what are your feelings on gold at this time as well?
The most important experience I ever had in terms of molding, building, helping me was failure. In my early 30s, I owned part of a firm. It turned out to be a complete and utter and total disaster. I lost every cent I ever made up until that time, plus a whole bunch of other money. And it's only in adversity. I mean, maybe the rest of you are smarter than I am, but you know, I only learn when things go wrong. And then I start to say, what can I change? What can I do differently? What can I learn from that? So it was really going through heavy, soul-searching adversity. And the lessons I learned from that period of time, again in my early 30s, were foundational in whatever modicum of success I've had since. So, you know, I saw a fellow on television right at that time, right in the depths of a fellow by the name of Clement Stone. I've never seen him since on television. He said, success is great, but it's adversity you should welcome because you only grow in adversity, period. As far as gold goes, we have some good gold holdings. I think that most of the portfolios I run, they're around 10%, a little bit more, 10 to 15 depending. I will probably think about lightening a little bit of gold here because, you know, I try to buy into adversity and I try to sell into euphoria. And the hardest thing is the sell decision, not the buy decision. I can pick what's cheap, I just can't pick what's overvalued. And, but, you know, everybody's talking about currency and the world is ending again. It's sometimes the time to shuffle off to Buffalo a little. So, I don't know, I hope that's helpful to you. Thank you very much. Thank you, folks.